Okay, we're picking up this review for Chapter 2 with problem 13, and you can see I kind of jump-started this one here. The points are -7, -1, so -7, -1 goes into the slope formula. And then we have the other point is 1, 5. Notice that the 1 goes on the bottom and the 5 goes above it. And I worked that all out and got a slope of 3/4. Now you can use either point, but I prefer you to use the first one when you continue here. So the one here in green, I'm going to be using that one. Y blank X blank. This is the point slope formula. And we're going to put in the 3/4 to start with. That's your slope. And then it says -7, -1. We have to change those signs and reverse the order. We'll put that 7 in the back, and the -1 gets changed to +1 in the other slot. Now we'd be done except that it asks for it in point slope form, which is the y equals mx plus b. We'll distribute here, and you get y plus 1 equals 3/4 x plus 21/4. And if it's helpful, you can think of this 7 as being 7 over 1. So you can maybe understand why 4 times 1 would give this 4 down here. The top is 7 times 3. Okay, so now what we have to do is bring this 1 over and subtract it from the other side. And when we do, I'm going to go ahead and change it to 4 over 4. That'll give me a common denominator, so I can now just finish this off. 3/4 x plus 17/4. So there's your slope-intercept version of the line that goes through -7, -1, and 1, 5. Okay, the next slide is all about horizontal and vertical lines, and we covered these, I believe, fairly well in class. But anyway, the y equals lines goes horizontally. So here's one at y equals -6. I'll draw another one up here just briefly. Up here, that would be y equals 4. So I'll give you a couple horizontals to look at. And then we have this vertical one here, x equals 2. And you can see that all of the x values on that vertical line are 2 to the right of the y-axis. So for instance, here you'd have 2, 6. And down here you'd have 2, 1. And if you compare all these points, let me give another one here. Down here is 2, -3. What you have is a situation where all of the x values are equal to 2, and that's why x equals 2 is that line. Okay, the next one is just matching, and I'm not sure this is any different than you have in your homework, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Horizontal lines have a slope, and the slope is 0, so that's choice B. Whereas vertical lines have undefined slope, or no slope, it's said both ways. Parallel lines have equal slopes, and if they're perpendicular lines, the slopes are opposite reciprocals. Okay, you should memorize those facts. All right, what is the slope of any line that's parallel to line number 1 whose equation is given here? Well, let's first of all find the slope of line number 1 by solving for y. We'll divide through by -5 here. And that tells me that y is 2/5 x minus 3/5. Well, the slope here is 2/5 of the first line, so the slope of line 1 is 2/5. And since any other line that's parallel to it will have the same slope, you just repeat it 2/5. There's your answer, 2/5. On the next one, we don't have any work to do as far as getting the slope of the line. It's ready to go. So the slope of the first line is just that -5/6. But since they're perpendicular, what you're going to do here is two things. You got to change the sign to positive, and you also have to take the reciprocal, so 6/5. The slope of the second line has to be 6/5 if it's perpendicular to that other line. Okay, that does it for problem 17, and we'll pick up on the next problem in the next